Hello, everyone. Danny here today with my son Justin to talk to you about the final two books in the Summoner Trilogy by Taran Matharu. I believe I pronounced that correctly. I apologize if I mispronounced that. Narrated by Ralph Lister. The second book is called The Inquisitor. The third book is called The Battlemage. In this review, we're going to talk a bit about the content of the books, the direction the books go, some of our favorite parts. If there's something that didn't quite ring right with us, we'll address that. The job that the narrator did, whether there was any content in the books that we felt might be inappropriate around children or in a workplace, such as language or sexual situations, and like basically the same thing I do in all my videos. However, before we get started on that, if you're like Justin and me, and you love audiobooks, but you hate to get a third to halfway through a book to decide this sucks, I wish I hadn't wasted my money, can't listen to it around my kids, whatever, subscribe, turn on notification in the comments down below. Give me the names of any books you would like me to review for you. It's what I do. Now, to the book. The first book, The Novice, I don't even remember where that one left off. Do you?
That one leaves off right as they're in the Orc Temple and
they go into the
ether.
They go into the ether, yeah. See, we both did the same thing. These books were good enough that neither one of us wanted to pause at the ending of each book. We just went straight from one. That's what you did, right?
Yeah, I had, I was listening to the first, and as I realized, okay, I have 2 hours left, I'm going to finish it on riding the bus at school, the skill center, so I download the next book the day before, and I end that one, and immediately start the next one, and then same thing with the second to third. And the current series I'm listening to, I'm doing the exact same thing.
The books, for me, I really could not guess from book to book the direction that they were going to take overall. I mean, I knew, I don't know about you, but it ends with them going into the ether. Mm-hmm. So I knew that book 2 they were going to spend a lot of time in the ether. I'm assuming it was the same way for you, right?
Yeah, I assume they'd spend a lot of the book in the ether.
When they come out of the ether, were you expecting them to run into the situation they ran into when they came out of the ether?
Which situation is that?
Where instead of being recognized as heroes, they're like almost arrested and pretty much have to
I was really confused. That one threw me off because of the way that they come out. And then the reaction, what's his name? I can't remember his name. The guy who's standing there has. And he just tries to get him out of there as fast as he can so that the students don't see them and realize too much.
See, I almost expected it to be even worse because best as I could tell, they spent like a good week in the ether. And that meant that his enemies had a week to, he's dead, we get to take everything he has, spin everything their way, really, and the enemies are such despicable political hacks. I mean, if they were in America, they'd be politicians all the way. I just hated the bad guys in the book. The second book, my favorite part of the second book was the time spent in the ether. Definitely. That was cool. All the creatures, and you learned so much that the humans didn't know about the ether and how it all operated.
Well, yeah, and they take a big idea from the very first book, right when they bring it in. He's given a book, and I don't want to get too much into it, but he's given a book of a battle mage who had researched a lot, or had been trying to research on the orcs part of the ether, and that's where they end up entering, is the orcs part of the ether. And so he gets to learn a ton about the part that they didn't know. And originally, the humans didn't realize they could breathe in the ether. They thought it was poisonous, which it is, but they find a way to counteract that while they're in the orcs' part. And that's just like a complete huge jump for them that I wasn't really expecting.
They find that way in book 1, and when you and I did the review of book 1, you made a comment that there's going to be a point in book 1 where him and another boy are discussing something, and you're sitting there going, I know what the solution is, I know what the answer is, just realize it now. Were you referring to the leaves?
No. I wasn't referring to him and the boy. I was referring to him and the white orc while they're in the volcano of the second book. And Ignatius is in the lava pool.
Oh.
The discussion they have and what the white orc says, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, it's going to happen. And then it happens, and I was like, yes.
That is actually...
You know it's coming, but it builds
third
up really
book,
well.
The third book is my favorite book, but I think out of all 3 books, that was my favorite part of any of the books. Because you knew what was coming. I mean, as soon as he, goes into the volcano, all of a sudden I was like, I know what. I know what he's about to become. This is going to be so... And then, he's talking to the white orc, and you're like, get on with it already. Yeah. Come on, people. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say... Where does the third one start at? Where's that one start at?
The third one...
This is the whole thing about going from one right to the next. And in a way, it's a compliment because they're so good we don't want to put them down. It's just... It
and they
hard
blend.
To
they blend so well into the next book. It's not even so much that you go from one book straight into the next book, but each book feels like a complete story. You're not left feeling like, okay, it's unfinished. It feels like a complete story. But at the same time, it flows so well into the next book that you're like, where? Were they already at his hometown for the second book? Or was it as they were headed to his hometown?
I can't remember.
The king comes in, and when the king's discussing with them, we got to get him out of here. I'm thinking the solution's right there in front of you.
I think they end up there. I don't remember. I don't know, but
I don't
I'd
remember
have to say the second's probably my favorite. I really like them being in the ether.
Okay.
That would probably be my favorite part because you learn so much about the different creatures. Like the demon that's basically just crazy poisonous because of the plants it eats. Like that was, as we talked about in the first video with how creative he can get with the demons.
Yeah.
There's that one. And then I kind of brought this up in the first one, the shrikes.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed just like a common big bird that was dangerous, and then he ends up freaking himself out because he sees this gruesome thing, and it's just the shrikes impaling their victims onto a stick.
Yes.
And it's more so, as it says in the book, it's more so the way he finds it because it's in the middle of the night, and he has the weird light, so it's like a blue glow over these just dead animals impaled on a tree. But there's just so detailed for each different demon. I really like that.
So I always like in my videos to mention, because growing up we take long car rides and we would listen to audiobooks, and nothing spoiled it more than trying to get into a really good book and all of a sudden there's a ton of foul language or sexual situations or whatever. So that's one of the things I like to include in my videos to kind of differentiate myself from other people. There's no language in any of these books. There's nothing remotely sexual in any of these books. However, if you have children who are able to visualize really well and are kind of sensitive about things, there are some scenes where the direct or the author does a good enough job of describing them that I could see that kind of sensitive, creative kind of a child actually getting, nightmares or having problems from that. But normally, with my boys, we to listen to them and no problem, whatever. But that made me think, because that is one of those scenes where where he comes across all of the creatures like impaled on the tree, and then another one in book 3 when he finds the soldier that has been impaled on the tree but is still alive.
Oh, was it Mason? Right? Isn't that his name?
Yeah, I think that was Mason.
Yeah. The Forsyth Fury. But I mean, to the same token of that, it wouldn't have bugged us as much because, like, we read the Redwall series, and even though it's a kid's book where animals are the main character, they still have like battle axes and swords, and it talks about cleaving creatures in half, and it gets really descriptive. So I mean, it wouldn't have bugged us, but if your kid's not used to reading something like that, I could see it maybe bugging them. So it just depends on how sensitive.
I'm saying you know your kids specifically the sensitive style. I've got kids in mind that I'm thinking of that this might have upset them, but they are extra sensitive towards that sort of thing, and it's nothing against them. I love them madly, so I don't mean it in a negative way at all. It's part of their creativity that they're able to be that vivid with their imagination, and they're also that sensitive about it. Otherwise, it's thoroughly enjoyable. The reason book 3 was my favorite book was because of that battle in the pass. The battle in the pass, true. It seems like it made me think of some of David Gemmel's books. Gemmel's, I always mispronounce his name.
Oh, he did
Legend. Druss.
Okay,
yeah, you've got this like belittled force facing an army that has them massively outnumbered, and one, they have to come up with the intestinal fortitude and courage to stand strong and not flee. And then 2, they've got to come up with battle plans that will realistically give them a chance. And the author does a really good job of that. I like the fact that the battle doesn't end at the pass.
Yeah.
That they have to actually flee the pass. So you get the fear and the anxiety leading up to the battle in the pass. Then you get all of the glory and just the excitement of the battle. You get the 2 old guys.
Oh, that was awesome.
Just
Secolder and what's his name?
Yeah, I can't think of the other guy's name at all. But
2 of my favorite characters.
My boys will tell you this. I'm one of those guys, when it's done right, it can actually move me to tears. I'll get like choked up and emotional. And when those 2 guys are just like, we're going to kill as many as we can kill. You guys go ahead and flee. We got this. And they're standing there facing thousands of orcs. The way the author describes it, the way the author did it. Yeah, I'm in my truck driving down the road going, yeah. And I'm wondering about people looking up going, what's wrong with that dude? Honey, let's get over a lane. I'm a little worried about this guy in his truck. It's so well and done.
Then he talks about how the main character, the way he can watch his demon, he has it set up to where his glass, he can see it because he has Athena, one of his demons, is watching the battle to kind of like, let him know how it's going and how much time they have, but he knows both of those characters really well, and he's watching 2 of his friends fight to the death.
It's
just really emotional and
it's
well done. It is.
They get the ultimate warrior's death. And
definitely.
A true warrior would understand that they get the death that like Vikings or your true warriors would just the movie 300, all of those Spartans, they would have craved the death these 2 guys got.
For Secolder, he actually protected where they were when Fletcher's parents were there. And so for him, I don't want to give away too much.
It's like a redeeming moment.
Yeah, it's a redeeming moment because there's something that happened in the past where he feels like he failed, and he gets to come back and not only protect that land again, but protect Fletcher, who is from the same bloodline of the people he served. And so that just adds just a bit more to it.
And then while those two are buying them time, they flee. And once again, you feel like, okay, someone's going to have to come along and save them again. They run into the town. People, we're giving a lot of spoilers here.
Sorry.
If you haven't figured that out by now, it's a little late.
If you don't want to hear them say stop.
It's too late already, but they flee, they run into the villagers, and they're like, what are you guys doing? And so then they're trying to escort the villagers, and then the orc army catches up with them, and you know what's coming. You know what's coming, but it's still so awesome when it happens because they form up. I mean, they've been battling for days. They're exhausted, and they know, okay, we're going to die, but maybe our death can buy, and his army is made up of these people that half of them didn't want to be there. Half of them were like
his army is
criminals and stuff, and he's turned them into these warriors that are willing to lay down their lives for everyone else. And then, of course, that the dwarves come to the rescue. And
I wasn't ready for that, actually.
Oh, I didn't know it was going to be the dwarves, but I was like, someone's coming. Someone's coming.
I had been waiting the entire time for Ignatius to use his fire. You notice that entire battle.
But he's out of mana.
He doesn't use his fire.
He's out of mana.
That's true, but I was waiting for it. And while they were at the pass, I liked how he used the Fantor. Because the way they do it, it blocks it. I did have a problem with that, like visualizing the Fantor.
Not at all.
Not that he didn't describe it well. I was in the process of doing something when the Fantor came up.
Oh, see, I didn't have a problem visualizing the Fantor.
From what I got out of it, it was kind of an elephant-shaped, humanoid, big thing.
What I pictured was like the movie King Arthur, The Legend of the Sword.
Okay.
In the beginning, you've got those giant elephants with like spikes and things, or in the Lord of the Rings, they've got those giant elephants. Yes, that's almost pretty much what it sounded like to me. Was just a massive, intelligent enough to know to cover its
It sounded
lines.
like it was standing on two legs, though.
That it did. It sounded like it could stand on two legs. Yes, but otherwise, so I pictured like a giant elephant that could stand on two legs.
But it couldn't have been too big, though. Because remember, they said the pass was only big enough that 10 people could fit side by side. And if it dies right in front, and then it's funneling people out, it can't be humongous.
It's basically as wide as 8 people then. Because you've only got room for one person to fit through on each side. Yeah, it is huge. And it was walking on two legs because that was how they got it to step on the spikes and injure its foot.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
don't think that the two front paws were actually like elephant paws. I think they had claws and stuff on them.
The part with after the dwarves come in and they save them and they're going through and they're looking for the wounded. Were you expecting the part with the... That was what got me.
Oh, that was heartbreaking.
I remember I was walking in the house and I'm listening to it and I'm like, no. And I was mad. I slammed the door of my car and then I get inside and, they give the relieving part and I was like,
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
That was just mean. And it was written really well because I honestly thought that's what happened, but halfway through I was like, he has a twin. Yeah. And I hate it because I like the twin too, but I was like, it's better than it being him.
When you're thinking Othello, my thought was, no, you can't kill Othello. You can't kill. I mean, he's killed other people. He's an author that
killed
he's killed other main characters, and so you're like, the author could do it, but no, you can't kill.
Yeah.
He's got a twin, but even then, you're almost like. The twin's really not that much better of a choice. Did one of them really have...
Especially since...
It's like in Harry Potter when Fred dies.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, you had to kill one of the twins?
Yeah.
That was... Or
they could have killed George. Nobody would have cared.
Well, George lost an ear.
No, not George. The oldest. Who's the oldest?
Oh, the one that had just returned to the family.
Yeah.
Percy.
Yeah.
Percy, yeah.
Yeah,
that was, that was heartbreaking for me. And then at that point in the story, I look and I'm like, if I remember correctly, we've got an hour or less than an hour left on the story. And the white orc is still alive.
Yeah.
So, he's not going to get to kill the white orc. I wanted him to kill the White Orc. He's got to kill the White Orc. And then the author turns it around. He manages to kill the White Orc. And like we said, if you're wanting spoiler-free, Taran, is that his name? Taran, or am I thinking of it different?
Taran Matharu.
No, that's the author. I'm talking about the
Fletcher.
Fletcher, yes.
Okay.
Fletcher kills. See, I knew I had the name wrong.
Yeah.
Fletcher kills
Now,
the White Orc.
so I knew he'd eventually kill the White Orc. I wasn't worried about that. What I was worried about, and I mean, in a way, still a little disappointed, it never happened, was the transformation with Ignatius. It never got completed. Honestly, what I thought was going to happen, again, big spoiler, you're going to find out a lot if you continue listening right here, but I thought his mom was going to get better sooner, and then he would end up giving her Athena, and he would have enough fulfillment to get Ignatius to become a dragon instead of just a drake, and then he'd go kill the White Orc with an even better dragon.
Well,
But then when I saw there was an hour, I was like, okay, he doesn't have time to go into the ether, find a volcano, get him to that, and then go out and fight him. I still like the way it ended. I kind of wish they got him there.
But here's the thing. We know after the first video, Taran Matharu contacted us, and once again, I apologize for mispronouncing your name. And he let us know there's a prequel coming out.
Yeah.
So we're very much looking forward to that, and please make sure it gets onto Audible. And stick with the same narrator.
Definitely.
Same narrator for all 3 books.
Definitely.
Great narrator, great choice in narrator. Yeah. Love the narrator. Stick with him
Ralph
for the rest.
Lister.
Now,
stick with him.
There is room, even though this is a trilogy, there is room for the story with Fletcher and them to continue.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even some kind of question marks. Fletcher and Silva.
Yeah.
You know, that the romance, not romance between them. And then the things that she says at the end of it. Honestly, the romance, not romance between them was a really fun part of the series, and that stuff. And she makes the comment at the end of the book that the battle's not over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's leaving to go fight because it's not over yet.
That's true. Yeah, and that could be what he means with the prequel. That may be what it's going into.
Well, a prequel comes before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a prequel comes before.
Ooh. Okay. All right.
A prequel is a story that happened before. It's released after the story.
Yeah.
But it's about something that happened before that story.
So I'm thinking that would have to do with maybe what all happened with his parents.
It could. It could have to do with what happened to his parents.
Or the very first time, like 1,000 years before, 2,000, whatever it is, where the very first White Orc was.
Right. Yeah.
Could be with that.
We'll find out when it comes out.
And I liked how, I don't know if we've said this, I liked how Fletcher had a Kopesh. Because I didn't know what a Kopesh was. And so he had a Kopesh, and I was like, okay, I want to figure out what that is. And I went and I looked it up, and I was like,
I never did
that's
that.
actually really cool. And then...
Is it a real sword?
Yeah, they just did it on Forged in Fire.
Oh, is that the one they made tonight?
No, not tonight.
Oh.
But they made it.
Well, don't tell me. I'll watch the episode.
I don't know if we have the episode, but...
well, you know what?
I
have the History Channel app on my phone.
Right.
I can get episodes of Forged in Fire, so I will find it.
They did the Kopesh. It's actually really cool, but it is a real
We
sword.
love swords,
We do.
and Forged in Fire is one of our favorite TV
I want to
shows.
do
So
with you. I want to go make an actual
learn how to forge
Definitely.
blades. That would be really cool and awesome. I don't have anything to add. Do you have anything to add?
I'd say again, stick with the same narrator, please. Narrator's like half the part of the book.
It is.
And then with the whole
important.
the book continue, because I still have yet. I've been thinking about it. I can't figure out where the third book starts. I like that. Like I'm currently re-listening to the Free the Darkness series by Kel Cade, and I enjoy that both this series and that series, they just flow perfectly. That's one of my favorite parts about a book series is when they have a good narrator and it flows really well and it has a good storyline.
And you can't
overall.
with
It's definitely
both of the series from book to book to book. you get a lot of surprises and
do.
twists
Yeah.
and turns and things that keep you on the edge of your seat.
This series is definitely up there in my favorite book series. That's for sure.
Mine as well.
Yeah.
All right, time for us to sign up. My phone, I've learned my phone cuts our video at like 30 minutes, and this is already a 25-minute video here.
Yeah.
So if you like this video, hit the like button. If you like my channel, subscribe. Turn on notifications. Any questions, comments, feedback, any books you'd like me to review for them, put them in the comments section. But no matter what else you do today, and this is from both of us, make sure that today you listen to at least one really good audiobook. And both Justin and I highly, highly recommend the Summoner series by Taran Matharu. I pray I got your name right. Thank you. Bye.